Well, this is Keith Dent. Welcome to the Black Men Speak podcast, where we highlight ordinary Black men doing extraordinary things. You're going to love today's conversation. Today's conversation is about money moves, not the flashy kind, not the social media kind, but the moves that actually keep the lights on and the doors open. Too many of our Black men are taught how to hustle, but not how to handle money. We're praised for grinding, but rarely coached on cash flow, credit, taxes, or building systems that allow our businesses to survive beyond the hustle phase. Financial literacy is more than knowing your numbers, it's knowing your options. It's the difference between running a business and owning one. It's how you move from survival mode to sustainability, from getting paid to building wealth. This episode is about shifting the mindset from just making money to making smart money decisions that protect your peace, your family, and your future. So if you're building something and want it to last, you got to know what you're doing. And if you're tired of guessing and ready for clarity, this conversation is for you. We're going to be talking about money moves today. And we're going to be sitting down with a brother who knows he's just going to keep it real, give you the facts, but he's also going to give you the tools that you need. And his name is Sylvester K. Johnson. I got to ask him what the K stands for. He's the Senior Capital Access Manager at Propeller, which is in New Orleans, where he supports entrepreneurs in accessing the funding they need to grow and thrive. He's a native New Orleanian and holds a Bachelor's of Science in Engineering from Tulane University and a law degree from George Washington University. Now, prior to Propeller, he worked within the nonprofit ecosystem as part of the CDFI lender program, providing financial tools and technical assistance to underserved businesses. So he brings a deep commitment to economic equity and a passion for lifting his community. So I'm going to bring him in, but Sylvester, how are you doing today?
Thank you. I'm doing well, Keith. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you.
It looks like it's chilly up there, man.
Yeah, very chilly. Before we get started, what does the K stand for?
Oh, the K stands for Carl, man. Karl. I'll tell a quick story about that. So my name is Sylvester Carl Johnson. Okay. My dad's name is also Sylvester Carl Johnson, but my dad didn't want people calling me Junior. So his name, his Carl, is spelled with a C, and my Carl is spelled with a K. So he switched it up so that he wouldn't have to put that Junior behind my name. So that's the difference between us. And I named my son Sylvester, but I changed his middle name as well. So his middle name is Michael after my wife's father. So he's Sylvester Michael Johnson. So we got a bunch of Sylvesters.
Oh, I got it.
Different middle names. Yeah.
Nice. I love it. So yeah, we're talking about a very important topic today, financial literacy. So what does that really mean for entrepreneurs? And that's just beyond, budgeting and saving.
Right. So that's a great question. It's a great place to start. Financial literacy for most people, they think that, okay, if I understand where the cash comes from and what I am selling my item for, and I'm making sure that the sales are going off the shelves, that is enough literacy for me as a business owner. But in actuality, financial literacy comes with so much more. It's really about your decision making. It's not just math. It's not just the cost of my goods sold and my price that I sell my goods at retail. We have to understand how the money moves throughout our business. And you have to forgive me because I'm going to talk with my hands a lot.
It's all good.
But the timing, how the cash that we take in affects our cash flow. Sometimes we take in things other than cash. Maybe we take a credit card, and when that is getting deposited into our account, and what is our ability to take that cash and understand its process throughout our business, from taking it in as revenue using it for both operating expenses and purchase of materials, when we can make those purchases, how we realize that cash, and making sure we can explain that to a lender or an investor or a potential partner so that they understand exactly what's coming into the business, what's going out of the business, and where our profit lies. So those things must align with our long-term vision of our businesses. We need to know where we are in the short run and where we're going in the long term. Both of those things super important in financial literacy beyond our budgeting and saving. That is the goal of the business owner, to make sure their finances tell a story and they can tell that story to others in the ecosystem in the marketplace.
Right. And you know what's so interesting? I just thought about it now is that one of the things, also the biggest challenges, is that we don't think of ourselves as a business, just our own personal lives as a business. So how our cash goes in comes into our, so like it's from our job, and then how it goes out, and when, you know, also in reference with our bills. So that's also a good thing, where people who may not be business owners can take this information today and apply it to themselves.
It's certainly, because that's where it begins. If we don't begin with ourselves, looking at ourselves and our family as a business, and when our paycheck comes in and what's going to hit and how we budget those dollars to go out so that we're not overdraft or we're not depending on other things. Super important to look at ourselves that way, so that, because those things are going to translate into our business as entrepreneurs.
Right. So when you meet with entrepreneurs, because I know since you're really helping entrepreneurs who need additional capital for their businesses, what is the kind of some of the mistakes that you kind of see that they make most often?
So they got two that are always kind of prevalent for our new entrepreneurs. Okay. The first one is confusing revenue with profit. That's a big misnomer. A lot of entrepreneurs, when they first start out, they believe because the sales are going out the door and they're taking in a lot of dollars, that revenue is the same thing as the profit they're making. Not understanding that when lenders and investors look at your financials, they are looking at the revenue numbers for sure. They want to know what the money that you're making, but it's very important that they also understand the money that you're spending. Are you overspending on any items that may be able to be cut back, so that you can take that revenue number, reduce your expenses to increase your profits? Or if you're upside down, because obviously startup expenses are very heavy for entrepreneurs. If we're still paying off some of those startup expenses, how do we get those dollars down and get that paid off so that we can start realizing profit? Because the profit and making the money is the most important part. You have to get to profitability, and that is your revenue minus those expenses. We've seen entrepreneurs all the time. Oh man, I sold 100 units at $1,000 a piece, so I've made $100,000, but the units cost you $60,000 to produce, and then you have another $45,000 in operating expenses. 60 plus 45 is 105. You only brought in 100, so now we're upside down. We're actually at a $5,000 loss. So that difference between revenue and profitability are super important. And the first thing that I always tell an entrepreneur, so revenue and profitability, we need to know that. And the first thing you need to know is you need to separate your personal and your business expenses. It is imperative.
Right.
Separate those personal and those business. You have to. My mentor used to tell me it's like the separation of church and state. You got to make sure those personal expenses over here and the business expenses over here, because if you don't, it's going to create problems with taxes, with credit. It's going to create problems with lending or investing later on.
Right.
We have to make sure that we're separating those things. So the difference between revenue and profit, one, and separating our business and personal expenses, two. Those things are imperatively important to the new business owner.
Yeah, and it's interesting because being that I'm also streaming today, there's a lot of people that get their income from subscribers. So the money comes in, they're like, oh, I've got 1,000 subscribers or 10,000 subscribers. I'm doing great. But let's say they have to pay all this money for production of a particular stream. They have to subtract that from the bottom line because those are the expenses that they've had to incur to actually put on a stream. And if you're doing that every day for a month, then you're like, oh, well, I've gotten a lot of money from my subscriptions, but then when they get to their bank account, wonder where all the money went.
That happens often.
Yeah.
We have to know where it's going because we know when it's coming in. That's the fun part. Where it's going, those are the details. So we have to make sure we know exactly where that's happening.
And just as a reminder, I know from our discussion, you were an entrepreneur yourself. You had an entrepreneur business, and I think if I can remember, it was the delightful snow cone business, right?
It was a snowball stand.
Yes, exactly snowball stand.
That's a good memory.
Yeah, I mean, when you said snowballs, I was like, yeah, I really want one of those. So, as a former entrepreneur, what point in your journey did you realize that making money and then managing the money were two different things?
You learn quickly, Keith. Yeah, I think that it took me about 6 months to realize that sales and making money is much different than managing money and managing a business. Entrepreneurs, a lot of our entrepreneurs are passionate and they have these wonderful skills. But if you're going to be in business, it's so important that you're in the business of being in business. And you have to recognize that as quickly as you can, because if you don't, you'll send yourself down to a place where the money is controlling you and you aren't controlling the money. So it took me about 6 months to recognize that at our little sweet shop or our snowball stand, we had a product that we were able to sell and able to get out into the market quickly because we were in Florida at that time. It was easy to sell a cool, soft drink to kids, to the adults that they were with, but recognizing some of those hidden costs that we weren't taking into account initially, that made me realize that we had to really manage what we were doing, because at the time we were mobile. So as I knew the supplies for the cups and the syrup and the ice, making those types of things, and then the things that we would buy wholesale, the hot dogs and the chips, but they had some hidden costs in there. They had hidden costs like fuel, because we had to move the stand from here to there. They had some electrical hidden costs, because as we made the ice ourselves, thinking, oh, we don't have to pay for it, but you actually do have to pay for it, because the electricity that you're using to fuel the machine or to run the machine, that costs you dollars, and it goes towards your bottom line. So that was super important.
All right.
To learn quickly and to get ahead of, so that we understood exactly where our money was coming from and where it was going, in order to ensure that we were making a profit.
That's great. So 6 months. I mean, that's not a bad learning curve, but because you were able to pivot pretty quickly. But sometimes it does take entrepreneurs a little longer, because they are afraid of the numbers.
It takes a little longer because you're afraid of the numbers, and those 6 months go by and you don't want to look at them. And then another thing you have to realize, we started a business that was relatively easy and simple.
Okay.
Some of our entrepreneurs have more complex ideas, and with complexity comes a little more complexity in the financials. So it may take a little bit more of a learning curve to understand or to ask for help, because a lot of times we won't do that. We want to try to figure it out on our own, but asking for help is the most powerful. I mean, that question, will you help me? Can you help me understand? It's one of the most powerful tools you have in your arsenal.
Right.
Please don't get into a place where you think you know everything. Go ahead, reach out, find a mentor, find a partner, find a specialist, get the information, because you don't want 2 years to go by, 2.5 years to go by, and you're still trying to figure it out. Not that you can't fix it.
Right.
There's always a way to fix it. We always can dig back and figure it out. Don't ever think that you're lost, but you want to try to catch it as quickly as possible, so you have I guess the most straight line to understanding and profitability as you can.
Right. What are the core money moves that the entrepreneur should master in their first 1 to 3 years? I have an idea, but I'd love to hear, your thoughts, being the capital access guy.
Okay, so we're going to go back to a previous question. First, separate your personal and your business finances immediately. Okay, that's number one.
What, in essence, what does that mean?
Okay, so all the things that you're paying or you're spending in your home, I mean, your rent at home, your utilities at home, that's your water, your gas, your electricity, your cable at home, your groceries at home. You want to make sure that is coming out of your personal expenses. Okay, whatever those personal expenses are, and however you're funding them, make sure that they are coming there. Now, your business account, I want you to make sure that all of your business expenses are coming out of there. Let me list a couple. Any licenses and insurance that you may have for the particular business that you're in. Any cost of your goods sold. So if you have a product and it costs, you need wood and you need screws and you need rubber, just making that up, obviously. Those things come from your business account. Okay, you want to make sure you can look at your accounts separately and see all the things that you're spending on your business and all the things that you're spending on in your personal life, and they will be separated. Okay, very important. Revenue that's coming in from the business, please let that go into the business account. I do know that you need to pay yourself. I understand that completely. But if you're paying yourself a certain amount, let it come into the business, and then let it be a payment to your personal account, just as if you were paying an employee.
Right.
Make sure that those are separated immediately. That's number one.
Right. So, i.e., 2 separate accounts.
2 separate accounts. Yes, sir.
Okay, great.
Okay. The second thing I want to make sure that we do is we learn to read our financial statements. Okay. We have 3 statements that are relatively important: a balance sheet, okay, a cash flow statement, and an income statement. Those 3 are the 3 that we want to be able to create, even if someone else is creating them, a bookkeeper or an accountant, or if you have QuickBooks and it creates it. Whatever we have, we need to know as we read them what we're looking at. Okay. The balance sheet is going to tell you your assets and your liabilities, both long-term and short-term. And we could do a whole nother pod on that. So I'm not going to get deep into that. Right. But the cash flow is going to tell you where your money's coming from and when it's good to spend. So if I have cash that's coming in, that's being, I can put it into my till, that can go into my bank account, I can spend it immediately. If I have credit that's being paid on net 30, I can realize that I'm getting paid that money, but I won't be able to spend it for 30 days because it won't come in until then, and until the account until then. And then lastly, I know what my expenses are, and I know how much of that revenue is
Right.
being spent on expenses, and at the bottom, I'm gonna know what my flow is for that month. Some
Right.
months it may be negative, and other months it may be highly positive. Obviously, we're trying to get to a consistent positive cash flow,
Right.
but as startup businesses, sometimes we have to dip into the negative before we get to the positive. So we need to be able to read that. And then lastly is our income statement. Now, the income statement does not do it looks and it's similar to the cash flow statement, but it does not tell us the same thing the cash flow statement tells us. Reason being, cash flow statement is going to tell us when the cash is available, when we can spend it. It's going to look at it as a daily up and down. The income statement is more of a wide overview. It's going to tell us how much revenue we're making and what our expenses are. And then it's going to tell us if we're profitable or if we're losing money. It's not going to look at the timing as much as the cash flow statement is. So that's number two. We have to make sure we prepare and learn to read our financial statements. Okay. Right. The third thing is I want you to build credit intentionally.
Okay. What does that mean?
Build credit intentionally. We all have our issues, whatever they may be. Entrepreneurs often go into debt, often are looking for ways to finance their businesses. So with that, sometimes there's credit card debt. Sometimes we get loans from friends and family. We may get a small loan from a credit union that we have a relationship with. And sometimes with a small business, we're going to talk reality here today, Keith.
Yeah,
sometimes we miss a payment, or we have a late fee.
Yeah.
Or we're not on time. When we have that happen, we want to do two things. One, we want to reach out to our creditor. We want to make sure they understand, listen, I have missed a payment because, or I need to make sure that I catch up on this payment, and this is how I'm going to do it. People don't like doing business with entrepreneurs who hide. We need to be out front, and we need to be looking at those relationships that we have so that we can preserve them. Okay. And as soon as we're able to make sure that our bills can be paid on time, we want to make sure that we are taking care of bills on a monthly basis, paying them on time, so that we can then build our credit intentionally and get it from wherever we start. I don't care if it's 550. Wherever we start, we want to get it from there and immediately get us to a place where we're able to say, hey, listen, we're going to be a better steward of our credit, because the time when we are going to need to use credit is going to come.
And what do you tell the entrepreneurs who say, I don't want to mess with credit? Is that short-sighted?
It is. I understand entrepreneurs who want to bootstrap their businesses. I get it. It's understandable. I'm sure that we have a number of entrepreneurs that can and will go years without having to access credit. But I will tell you this, and I'm looking into the camera directly. If we are going to be a business that is going to grow, okay, a business that's going to grow, not one that's going to contract, not one that's going to stay stagnant. If we're going to be a business that's going to grow, we are going to have to become comfortable using and managing our credit, because if we don't, there is no way. Let me not say that. There are only a few ways, and not all of them are always available to us as Black entrepreneurs, to have our business grow without using other people's money at some point in time. We have to understand that credit can be daunting at times, but those of us who win understand how to use it and not allow it to use us. Again, control our credit before our credit controls us. Super important if we're going to be a business that's going to turn from a solo entrepreneur or a small business with one employee to a business that's going to help us generate and build wealth, that is an employee-focused business where we are not only doing the skill, the hobby for ourselves, we're doing it on a larger scale, and that's where the wealth building becomes apparent. Once we have employees and once we're able to do a lot of work that we can replicate with a team.
Absolutely. And just wanted to also point out, especially for any streamers, you get all hyped when you see got 100 subs, but you have to remember there's a net 15 or net 20 on that, depending on when the subs come in, because remember, your money's being passed through another organization to you because you do not own the actual platform for which you are streaming on. So just to point that out, that's very important.
Certain. Very important.
Very important. So before you go out and buy that high priced item because you have reached a certain amount of subs, wait till the money comes in.
Certainly. That's that cash flow conversation. You're right.
Right. So you had a fairly modest business, meaning sounded like you didn't really have a lot of overhead. So how did you balance when when your revenue came in, reinvesting in the business, as opposed to paying yourself while, still, as a goal to building up personal wealth?
It's got to be strategic.
Okay.
Super important. It cannot be, I guess it cannot be an afterthought. We can't get the money and then say, oh, it's going to take care of itself. It has to be a strategic decision to make sure that we know where we need the dollars to go and what we need them to do.
Do you find that the entrepreneurs tend to pay themselves more than they should, or not enough?
Not enough.
Okay.
And that's when we begin to kind of commingle our personal and our business. Entrepreneurs are usually undercapitalized, so they're bootstrapping, especially entrepreneurs in our community. They're bootstrapping or using their own cash or using their own money to start whatever the idea or the business is. So with that, they will always continue to say, okay, business made $300 today, instead of separating and say, okay, business made $300 today. I worked 8 hours. I need to pay myself a wage, 8 times $15. Let's say I need to pay myself $120, so the business actually made $240, and let's operate off that $240 as the $120 is a real expense that goes to me so that I can take care of my personal business. Without that, a lot of times we'll take that $300 and we'll just start paying all kinds of different bills. We'll start paying personal bills. We'll start paying business bills. We'll start doing everything with the $300, but that does not help us understand what the business needs or how it's operating. If we knew that, okay, we give this $120 back to myself as an entrepreneur, now we have $240 left that we need to get other materials, get other goods, figure out what we're going to do with it. And then we come down to the end and we say, we need another $60. We're $60 short. We can then say, okay, I've paid myself $120, but I'm going to take 60 of that 120 and I'm going to reinvest that back into the business. Those dollars need to go back into the business. We have to be intentional about where the money goes and how it moves, like we talked about earlier.
Right.
Forgetting that or ignoring that is not going to allow us to know how healthy the business is, because, Keith, there's sometimes we know that businesses will operate at a loss. But if we continue to operate at a loss, and it continues to happen, we may have to make a decision either to pivot and do something different, or to recognize that this business might not be profitable. And if a business isn't profitable, I'll tell you what, it doesn't make any sense to be in business. So
Right.
we have to know where the money's coming from and where the money's going, so we can make those assessments and make the hard decisions that come with being a business owner.
And a lot of times what we try to do is not take the money out to prop up the business more than we should. But then you end up, you as the entrepreneur end up with nothing.
That's correct. I mean, you're going to end up with a failing business anyhow. So it's better to understand, okay, I need to pay myself these dollars. And if I need to reinvest the money that I'm paying myself, okay, but I understand exactly what I'm doing. I know that I've paid myself, and there needs to be some owner's contributions to come back to my business until I get to a place where the business is actually operating profitably. The business is operating profitably when I'm able to pay myself as an employee, and I'm able to pay the expenses to operate, and the cost of my goods or services that I need to sell. So those things are really important to be detailed or get into the details about writing down and doing the math, because with that, it's going to give you clarity. It's going to give you either you see a path to profitability, or you see, well, maybe I'm not charging enough for my services.
Right.
Maybe I'm paying too much for my materials. You can pull on different levers when you actually know what's going on. If you don't know, if you don't recognize what's going on, it gets you into a place where I don't know how to fix it, or I don't know what I can do. It promotes, again, a business that won't succeed, instead of a business that has a way out.
So in essence, you're just saying, make sure you strategically decide if you're going to take money out of the business and then if you decide you don't want to do, that's the choice that you're making, but make sure you do it on a consistent basis.
Yes. Got to do it on a consistent basis. Got to do it, again, strategically and knowingly, so that you understand exactly what it is that you're doing and where the money is going, so you can adjust if necessary, right? And then once your business is profitable and you're making a consistent profit over the months or the years, then we see how much profit we're making and where we can either take dollars to make our business better, invest it in the business to make it better, or take dollars out because we either need a bonus for the work that we've done as an owner, or we're taking out an employee contribution that needs to be paid for the work that was done.
Right. And so you mentioned a thing about pricing and the possibility of us as entrepreneurs not pricing properly. Have you seen that, and how have you helped entrepreneurs get clarity on how to price properly for their businesses?
Shucks, yes, I see it all the time. I saw it when I was at the CDFI as a lender. I saw it when I was an entrepreneur, because I came from New Orleans, where the snowballs were priced at 50 cents and 75 cents. And I recognized in the market that I was in, there wasn't a high competition. It wasn't a high competition marketplace. So when they were coming to me, I was selling out. I was running out. That 75-cent snowball was too cheap. Okay. You recognize it because the market would bear much more than what you were charging.
Is that because of where you were located, or just where you're located?
Where you're located, the competition that you have here in New Orleans, these shaved ice, the shaved ice and snowballs, you can find it on
anywhere.
I can throw a rock and hit two of them. Where I was in Miami, it was not like that.
Oh, you're in Miami too? Oh,
yeah,
man.
I was in Miami at that time. So it was not like that. So I was able to charge, instead of 75 cents, I was able to charge $1.50.
Okay.
Look, that is double.
Yeah.
That is double the revenue. And I was able to charge that and recognize that because I had the fuel that was moving the moving the stand and I had other operating expenses, I needed to charge that in order to be profitable. Because if I wasn't charging that, I was going to be in a space where we weren't going to be making any money. So that was a personal story. Now, on a professional level, seeing especially food vendors, seeing food vendors either charge way too much for a certain item or giving the item away at such a low price. I've seen it both ways. Okay. I've seen them where they're charging way too much for an item and the inventory that they have gets older because it takes a long time to sell it. And now you got some of this, some of your stuff you can't even sell. Can't sell it because it's gone out of expiration. Or if you're in a space where you're charging too little, you're getting the food out, making sure that everybody gets fed. But when you come back and you're looking at, well, how much money did I make today? Or what do I do? Where am I going to get the dollars to operate tomorrow? You recognize that you haven't put a proper value on one, the food, and the work that it takes to prepare that food so that you can have a fair value that allows your business to operate and you sell a sufficient amount.
Right. Oh, that's great. We talked about the long-term success of an entrepreneur and needing credit to do it. So what are some of the couple of simple ways business owners should use credit for long-term success?
Two ways. I know a lot of people talk about business credit. You hear it a lot on social media. For entrepreneurs of our size, our personal credit is still going to be the most impactful and important thing that we have if we need to access it for growth. Business credit is going to be useful if you have to buy supplies on credit, or if maybe you need to go to a Home Depot, if you're a contractor and you can get your supplies on credit there, or if you need something that's going to be net 30 or net 60, your business credit and how it's used will be important. But our personal credit and how we use it and how we manage it is going to be so important for our long-term success, because when we get to growth stage and we need to talk to lenders, or we need a line of credit to make sure that we are taking care of our expenses before we get the revenue into our doors, our personal credit is what lenders are going to look at. They are always going to be impressed with a business owner that is taking care of their credit items, making sure their bills are paid on time, making sure they are not getting outside of their business window where they need more than, or where they're using more than they actually can sustain. It is better to grow slowly and use our credit intentionally than to try to explode using credit that we can't afford. Once we're able to slowly build our credit using the credit that we can afford, I don't care if it's a business credit card to start with.
Right.
Then we move up from a business credit card to what's called a micro loan, something that's in the $10,000 range. And we move up from there to something that a bank may support in a $50,000 line of credit that you can use like a credit card. Those things are super important, and managing our credit intentionally is also very important if we are determined to grow our businesses into wealth generating machines. And that's what we're in business for. And to do that, it's going to take an intentional use of our finances and our credit to make sure business growth happens.
Right. So since our personal credit is what we lean on, especially in the beginning, so what's a great strategy for credit card debt if I am interested in starting a business? How should that be attacked?
First thing we have to do is we have to strategically pay it down. Okay. Sometimes we're unable to say, hey, we have a $10,000 debt. I need to get it down to a $3,000 balance. Let me find $7,000. That's not realistic all the time for
of
people,
course.
Right? So if that's the case, we need to look at that as a bill, and we're going to make a deliberate attempt to pay our credit card debt down, whatever it is. And sometimes that comes with sacrifice. So we have to ask ourselves as we look in the mirror.
That's a great point. Sacrifice.
Yeah. And we have to ask ourselves as we look in the mirror, what am I willing to sacrifice? Am I willing to sacrifice my daily $3 coffee? If that's something that you do, maybe that's not your thing. Am I willing to sacrifice my monthly new clothes purchase or new shoes purchase? Am I willing to sacrifice one of my streaming services for a portion of time? And when I'm willing to sacrifice those dollars, I'm going to reallocate that money, my sacrificial money. I'm going to reallocate that to my credit card payment. And I'm going to be very intentional and disciplined about making sure that reallocation is made to my credit card payment so I can begin to see the difference in the dollars as we continue to eat away at them. We may not be able to jump out and be outside immediately with our business or with our product. We may have to be inside working on what the strategy is going to be when we're finally able to produce it, what the strategy is going to be when we get to that point. But while we're strategically figuring out how to launch our business, we are disciplined and having our own strategy of those sacrifices that we've made over here to pay down that credit card debt. And it can seem like a mountain. I know. Believe me, it can seem like a mountain, but we have to start eating that elephant one bite at a time. It may take us 6 months. It may take us 12 months. I've seen some people take 18 months to get this thing down, but through diligent sacrifice and discipline payments, they were able to do it and get themselves to a position where they have a solid foundation that they can move and begin all over again. So that's tremendously important.
Yeah, very important. Yes, that's great. Thank you for that. So one of the things which we not necessarily downplay, but we don't really think about are the kind of the generational gaps when it comes to financial literacy. So how do you feel that shows up today? And then for our, I guess, young people, because it's really more about breaking the cycle. How can we break the cycle so we start to make smart money moves that will affect future generations?
The generational gap is real. It is something that we cannot hide from or bury. People may tell us, oh, it has been so long, and why haven't you progressed? And what are you doing incorrectly that's not allowing you to get a step ahead? Well, let me tell you, Keith, I am the first generation in my family with equal rights for their entire lives. My mom and dad, they grew up under Jim Crow rule. So in the South, colored and white water fountains, that's my mom and dad.
Oh, wow. That's deep.
I can go next door or wherever. I can go knock on my mom and dad's door and say, hey, I need you to come and meet somebody. You will be looking at someone who was born without equal rights. We don't have to go dig anybody up. We don't have to look in the history book. I got a guy that is my dad who will tell you all the stories about being discriminated against. Okay, so I'm the first generation. My kids are the second generation.
That's deep.
That was born in with equal rights. So that is impactful. Reason being is because our wealth gap, the intelligence that we miss, it's not because of we're not intelligent or there's a wealth intelligence. It's because of exposure. Our parents were deliberately and intentionally not exposed to these items, right? So they couldn't pass it down to us. It's hard for us then to pass it down to our kids. So we're getting bits and pieces that, okay, my dad gave me bits and pieces that he figured out. I'm going to give my kids bits and pieces that I figure out. And if we are not exposed, because there are still many of us that have not been exposed to financial statements, making intentional credit decisions, saving money, building businesses, entrepreneurship, from building it from a solid foundation. We haven't been exposed to it. So it's not that we're not as smart as someone else. We just have not seen the things that they have seen.
Right.
So what we must do to ensure that we're doing everything we can to get our community the exposure we need is we have to begin partnering. We have to begin having intentional mentorships. We have to begin having these conversations that you're putting and streaming all the time. These are conversations that we have to have because questions come up, and I need to have answers for those who have questions. You need to have answers. I need to be able to ask questions of others, right, so that we can have these roundtables, these mastermind groups that will quickly gain us the exposure that we're lacking, so that we can do our best. And it's not going to happen overnight. We're going to have to be intentional about dragging each other into the future of entrepreneurship and making sure we all have the information that's necessary, because I don't have it all. You don't have it all. And our parents it was intentionally hidden from them. So we have to do the job of working together and ensuring that we are pulling the curtains back from the wizard. Because if we always think that it's somebody's telling us, oh, you're just not smart enough, or, oh, you just don't have enough, you don't have enough information. Well, it's because it's being hidden from us. So together, right, we have to give each other the knowledge and the information that we find, right, so that we can lead each other to success.
And and it sounds like just based on your energy, you provide a certain piece to the entrepreneurs that you work with, especially because, I mean, in our communities, we know that our entrepreneurs can probably tend to hide and not share, especially when they're not doing well.
Yes.
When we're doing well, you'll see them out in the street. They'll be on the corner selling everything, you know. But when they go into hard times, you have to send out, investigators to find them.
Right.
You know. So how do you provide that peace to let them know that it's okay that you're not succeeding as well as you think you should?
It's what I open with, because when you are outside and everything's going well, that's great. But when the hard times hit, or the struggles or the challenges come, that's when you need each other. And we must understand that everybody has hard times. It does not matter who you are, doesn't matter what business you're in. It's never going to be 100% roses and gold. It just doesn't work that way. Hard times are what business is about. And I want everybody to understand that I have hard times. Me, the guy who's up here, the guy who's up here talking, I am not immune from hard times. And when I have those hard times, I want to be able to lean on you, my community. I want you to be able to lean on me, because guess what? I may have gone through something that you are experiencing now, and I may have a quick fix. I may have the answer. But if you keep it hidden, if you're not sharing because it's embarrassing, if you're not sharing because you don't want me to know, you may be missing that blessing or that knowledge that a friend, a colleague, a community member may have. So that's when we need to come together the most, Keith.
Right. And just to be clear, you also were working with entrepreneurs who may not have the, top tier education. They're just individuals who've had a business idea and had a gift that they wanted to.
Listen, I got 2 degrees. Obviously, we've talked about it earlier. That does not matter when we get out here, especially in the entrepreneurial world. And I tell everybody this, it's about what's in here, right?
Yeah.
How much hustle do you have? How many times are you going to get up after you get knocked down? Because I don't care how many degrees you have. I don't care how much education, where you went to school. Business is going to knock you down. Who has the wherewithal? Who has the desire? Who has the gumption to continue to get up and learn from those failures, those bad beats? Learn from it so that you can turn that into a win for the business. Because once we are able to do that, that is going to be the skill that's going to be most important for our entrepreneurs, getting up after they get knocked down. You cannot control everything, but you certainly can control your reaction to whatever that thing is. And entrepreneurs who succeed are willing to be vulnerable. They're willing to not be defeated, and they're willing to treat failure as an opportunity to learn and grow, and not as something that's something that's there to simply defeat them.
Yeah, and those are great nuggets that you can use whether you're going to be an entrepreneur or not. Fantastic.
Entrepreneur or not. That's correct.
So one other question, the question I was going to ask earlier that someone mentioned is,
yes,
what were the top 3 books that you use or you recommend to teach financial literacy?
So financial literacy books are kind of a dime a dozen. You can go so many different places to look at that, look for financial literacy books. I'm going to go with a couple different things. Okay. First, I want to talk a little bit about business. Okay. Business literacy and business financials are super important for us to get our handle on, I guess, when we're beginning as a business owner. So there's a book that I used when I was just learning what it means to be a business owner and trying to learn about financial statements and what they do, I guess how they teach us what our business is going to do. And there's this guy, and his name is John Messina, and he makes a beginner's guide to reading and understanding and analyzing company reports like Warren Buffett. Now, it's a financial statements playbook. It basically talks about how Warren Buffett looks at these big companies, right? And figures out that if they're going to be profitable, or if they're tricking you, or if it's something that you something that you can kind of dig through to try to figure out exactly what a company is doing. All right. I read that after law school when I got into business. It's a little dense at times.
Sounds dense.
But yeah, it's a little dense at times. But once you get to running the business and needing to see it, it's something that you want to put on the side so that you can look.
Okay.
You can look at.
Gotcha.
The first book that you want to read, and it is it's going to tell you a lot about just life in general, is that book Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Mm-hmm.
Rich Dad Poor Dad helped me understand what people outside of our community were learning at a basic level, like how to use your money, what assets were, what liabilities were, what we should be spending our money on, and what rich people or what we tend to look at and think rich people are spending their money on, and they're really not. Those things, that Rich Dad Poor Dad book is something that I think anybody who wants to go to entrepreneurship needs to read.
Political affiliation aside.
Yes, political affiliation aside. You are correct.
Yes.
I was going to say.
If you can just
buy it used,
check it out the library.
Yeah, if you check it out the library,
absolutely.
Go ahead and do that. All right.
Absolutely.
Go ahead and do that. But it does have good information in it. So I want you to just to know what's going on there. Financial statement books, and just learning how to put financial statements together. There is a book that is called Financial Intelligence. It's a woman. Her name is Karen Berman, and I think the gentleman that she wrote it with is Joe Knight. It's just it's a book called Financial Intelligence. It's for managers it tells you what the numbers really mean.
Nice.
So that one's not a hard read. And I think it's something that you should read. But for business owners, okay. So I've given you Rich Dad Poor Dad. That's something we're checking out from the library, like we talked about. We talked about this the Financial Intelligence book. That's there. The Warren Buffett book. Remember, you wanna put that on the side for when you're ready for something that's a little bit more in depth. But I want everybody, and I think it's important for everybody to look at a book called The E-Myth, and it's revisited now, but it's why most small businesses don't work and what you can do about it. Now, this book, The E-Myth book, what it does is it talks about systems. It talks about making sure we're understanding what our business does and what it doesn't do, and how to be very systematic and consistent with the services that we're providing. The E-Myth is one that I like all entrepreneurs to read.
Yeah, I've heard of that book.
When they read it, it opens up kind of a portal to what small businesses do and they're able to be successful in doing it. Okay, so that's one that entrepreneurs should read. And lastly, the last one is a book that you want to. It's kind of an activity book for entrepreneurs, and it's called Traction. Traction is a book that will help you go through your business idea. It'll help you go through your business and write down the things that you have, or that you may not have, that you need. It's a workbook. I mean, it's in a book, but it's a workbook that you go through consistently about your business and about your financials. Traction is one that I would love for people that are listening to the stream, people that are going to hear the podcast, that are going to read. So the way we go with that is, one, we talk about Rich Dad Poor Dad. We're getting that from the library. We're not going to buy it. All right. Two, we want to read the E-Myth, okay, for businesses. Mm-hmm. Three, traction is super important. And then once we've gone through that and we've used that as a bit of our lead up to our study for our business, we're going to go to Financial Intelligence by Miss Berman and Joe Knight. Mm-hmm. That's gonna help us with our financials. And then when we need to get deep into the weeds, we're gonna go to the Buffett book, and we're gonna keep that on our desk, just so we'll know when we're looking for it. And that's one that you may want to read with someone else. You guys ask each other questions. You guys take different things from it and say, look, this is something that I knew. Or what about you? What did you find? And you can almost book club that one. So those are the 5 that I got, and that's in that order.
Very robust studies. Yeah, appreciate it. So as we close, I have 2 more things.
Yes.
So if you had, and this has really been great, by the way, I think entrepreneurs will take away, and even if you're not starting your business now, you'll take away some nuggets that could be helpful, especially nowadays. The attention spans are much shorter, so they probably forgot what we talked about in the beginning.
Sure.
So what is the one word or one financial principle that people should take away from this stream or podcast that they must do as entrepreneurs?
This is the thing that you can cut, clip, put on Instagram as the quick hitter. Okay. Entrepreneurs, especially beginners, you have to control your money. Don't let your money control you. That's the thing. It comes, and we can substitute credit in there for money. We can substitute business in there for money. It's all about you having the control and not allowing the business, the money, the credit to control you. And that's everything that we talked about in a nutshell. Being strategic, making sure we're analyzing and understanding our financials, making sure we're intentional about our credit, making sure we're building relationships that matter, that are going to help us. We are going to control our money. We're going to control our business. We're going to control our credit. We're not going to let our business, our money, our credit control us. That's the way to success.
And the word in parentheses that we'll have to go with that. That means no. You will have to say no a couple of times in order to control your money, because that big project that you want to take on may not be worth it.
It may not be there for you right now.
Yeah,
may not be there for you right now, Keith. We might have to say no for now. And we'll be able to circle around and get it on the next go round. So that's super important.
Well, Sylvester, this has been fantastic. Propellers, an organization located in New Orleans, doing fantastic work. So I really appreciate the time that you have today, for being on. So I have a question for you, because this is always a surprise.
Okay.
Because we're doing such great work. And you're doing such great thing for your families, and then just the entrepreneurs you help and things like that. We don't necessarily think about ourselves all the time. Okay. So my question I always leave my guests with is, how are you feeling right now as a Black man?
I am feeling challenged. There are a lot of words that I could use that may have a negative connotation, especially where we are right now and in the space that we're living. But I think challenged is a word that, while it tells us we're we're in a spot, okay, it gives us the opportunity to rise up to the challenge. Nothing is going to be given to us. It never has been, and I don't believe that it ever will be. I see the things that are being put in front of us consistently these days, and they being those that are against us, our development, and our journey to success. They are putting things in front of us that are there to try to discourage and stop us from moving forward in our journeys. What people don't realize is we have been the most challenged demographic in the history of the world, and it's not going to be that easy to push us off our line. So today, as I feel challenged, I also feel encouraged by communities like this that allow us to share and fellowship and help to bring each other along. Propeller does that work. Keith, you're doing that work. All the people who are here to hear the stream and that will listen to it afterwards are interested in that work. And as long as we continue to join and move together, we will not be deterred. So that's what I'm feeling today, Keith. I'm feeling challenged. And I know that you, brothers like us, are here to step up and rise to that challenge. So that's where I am with it today.
Great. That's awesome. Thank you. Okay. Thank you for being on tonight. Appreciate it.
No, thank you guys. All right.
As always, thank you for tuning in to the Black Men Speak podcast, where we elevate conversations, empower perspectives, and amplify the voices of Black men who are building, leading, and redefining what's possible. If this episode challenged you, inspired you, or gave you something to think about, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with a brother, a sister even, a friend, or someone who needs to hear it. And if you want to go deeper, exclusive conversations, behind-the-scenes content, bonus episodes, and direct access to our growing community, join our new Black Men Speak Patreon family. That's where the real locker room talk happens. That's where we build. You can support the movement and become a member today by visiting our Patreon page. Every subscription helps us continue telling powerful stories that matter. As you know, we always like to end our show with a quote. And this one comes from Vernon Jordan, an American business executive and civil rights attorney. You are where you are today because you stand on somebody's shoulders. And wherever you are heading, you cannot get there by yourself. If you stand on the shoulders of others, you have a reciprocal responsibility to live your life so that others may stand on your shoulders. It's the quid pro quo of life. We exist temporarily through what we take, but we live forever through what we give. Until next time, keep speaking the truth, keep building legacy, and remember, your voice has power. This is Keith 10 from the Black Men Speak podcast. Peace.